I think this is an image of hope for me because it encapsulates a moment of stillness and fragility, as well as vulnerability. And I believe that hope definitely contains all of those. It also contains a strength even as you're weathered and fragile and brittle sometimes. It's also very vibrant. There's still color, there's still optimism. So I think hope really is a multifaceted concept and contains all of those swaths of color and intimacy within it. So fragile and yet so gritty and determined. So I think it holds everything and all of the above.
This is an image that was taken maybe a few months before, it was 5 to 6 months before the last semester of my graduate school experience. The first video and dance anything I was able to make after COVID hit. And so it let me know that something was possible and performing was still possible. And this was a moment where we all feel safe to take our masks off and take pictures. So that's one of the reasons it gives me hope.
Yeah, so what is hopeful to me is the art of storytelling. I'm actually working on a interdisciplinary documentary theater project right now called the Gender Gallery. And to me, we have all these individual stories, but once we put them together, it's a beautiful mosaic of lived experience.
So this image is of a cookbook my partner gave to me a couple months into us dating, and it's a Persian cookbook, and I am Iranian, and I don't have a relationship with my dad or that part of the family, and I haven't really been able to have the food that I ate growing up, and it makes me sad. And the fact that my partner got me this book makes me hopeful that I can continue to incorporate my culture with my queerness and my transness, and that it's not an either or situation. And I'm really excited to learn how to cook these recipes and have my partner try them.
I chose this image because it gives me hope to make these drawings and to be in the kind of safe space that I arrive at when I'm working on them and when I'm imagining them and cooking up ideas and shapes and playing with grain of the paper and texture of coloring pencils. I enter a really safe child space there.
One of the things, it was one of the first things that caught my eye while I was looking around my apartment for okay, what is something in here that brings me hope, and it caught my eye because it is really colorful, one, but it's one of those things that I think a lot of people would be like, well, why did you keep that? Because usually once the balloons are gone and the party's over, you get rid of a lot of the things, and I was like, I kept this. It was of course really nice to have my coworkers be like, oh, you didn't get a graduation, so we're gonna put a mini graduation here for you, and just really just go all out just for fun, and of course that was really meaningful. Yeah, it reminded me a lot that I had a community in a time in the middle of the pandemic where it was really hard to feel community. For the people that I really cared about and loved to put together an event like that, for me, it was just a really nice sense of community, and I think that's kind of why I held on to it. And all that emotion really came back up as I was looking for an object that brought me hope. So that's why I picked it. In a world that is running out of resources, I think hope is not one of those things, even though it feels like it sometimes, if that makes sense. Like, hope is something that can be created, and I think we create it with each other, and I think that's something that, like, big picture, we can't lose sight of, is that just being able to give that hope to each other, being able to create those special moments for each other, and really push each other to keep going, I think is the big picture of hope for me.
I chose this image because it was created in a low mental point for me. I feel like I often go through these phases where I feel really low and pulled down to the ground. And it just reminds me that I can still come back up from that, and I can create something beautiful out of it. And no matter how low I feel in that moment, there's still hope and happiness at the end of the tunnel, essentially. I kind of envision a future in which I guess we're all more hopeful and positive, try to not let the negatives consume us. And I think that's something I have to work on with myself too. And I think everybody kind of has to over time. It's not something we're ever done with, but just being able to know that, I guess, like I said about the photo, just that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and we can always come back from anything.
I recently got into spirituality, to be honest with you, and tarot is just one of the tools that I kind of use to just connect with the universe, my spirits and my ancestors. And the sun represents me. It's a Leo sign. It stands for hope, of course, but it also stands for hope and success. It just is a reminder that I'm going to be great and successful and do all the best things that I want in life if I just believe it.
I chose this image because the last time that someone asked me of what I envisioned for the future or what I hope for the future, I painted this. It's my vision as an eco-feminist queer person to live without the structures that hold us down and to care for the earth, to guard the earth as like a divine feminine energy.
I really believe in the power of teams, of small societies and cities. So the concept of the futuristic and also contemporary concept of smart cities is something that intrigues me, from the sense that if we change our surroundings by respecting the environment further, by adapting to the technology and finding solutions for all the communities, for all the ages, for all the groups, and make them sustainable, I think it's the change that we need. A change that is keeping the pace with our years and evolution, and we can be part of it.
I chose the semicolon tattoo mainly because of the chaos in the world, and I had become so depressed. I wasn't being accepted at work. The lesbian at work was just unheard of in the male world. Working as a paramedic. But when I look at that tattoo, I see that my story isn't over, and each day we're growing as a nation. Right now we're divided, but I hope in the future that we all come together in kindness.
I chose this image because I recognized at a point in my life that I was in fact suffering from pretty severe depression and anxiety and kind of just a lot of mental health issues. And once I realized, I really wanted to try and figure out how to take the steps to become a healthier and better person for myself and for the people around me. And I chose this image because I got this tattoo as a reminder to, in fact, not to slow down or don't slow down. because that's where I was for such a long point in my life. And I mean, it really brings me hope because it is a constant reminder that I'm still here and I'm still going and I'm making a lot of amazing changes to myself as a as a person, and kind of just out in the community and really trying to make change and do some good. So it brings me hope because I can see more than just, you know, what's directly in front of me. I can kind of see the outside world and a bigger picture. In the bigger picture, I really see, you know, people helping other people for the good and leaving some of those little things, those little disagreements and things like that behind, and really just trying to come together and help each other.
This is the first big job that I actually got to do as a stage and light designer in Peru, and it was the first time that I felt really proud as a queer artist. And I had a bunch of a full team with queers, so it was great, and it was great working with teenager queers that wanted to learn more and do stuff, and that gave me a lot of hope. Suddenly being in a space with these macho kind of people and all this stuff around me, and I thought that I would never get there, and then suddenly I had even younger people wanting to work with me. Now that we're experiencing, I think, in the whole world, this not being safe if you are not the normative of stuff, you know. And now that I'm coming from my country, from Peru, and the whole political situation is so complicated, that I think the first thing that I would like to feel is truly safe, and then that I can, with this feeling safe, also be able to express myself more.
I chose this image because my family represents hope for me, because they taught me how to love. My family is a source of joy for me and a source of comfort. They taught me how to love myself and how to love others around me just as much, and I love them for that, and I think that they have a lot to teach the world and how we can build community of trust and love and light, having fun, playing all day. We love to joke around and sing around and dance and stuff like that, and I think that's just like, I don't know, it just feels really open to be at home, and I like being with them. I hope that everybody can fully realize themselves, be who they want to be, love who they want to love, go where they want to go, live where they want to live without borders or walls or anything that prevents them from doing that, either internally or externally. So I hope we can build a world where folks love each other, folks feel in community with each other,